you have joined us because you're an agriculture student and want to learn how to use technology in agriculture, or you want to basically understand different technologies impacting the agricultural sector, or just to support IGRO and the panelists today. Whatever the case, we are happy to have you and we hope to make your stay worthwhile. Before we introduce the panelists, I would like to briefly take you through how the webinar will work. We will begin by introducing the panelists and give them a chance to introduce themselves, and then we will delve into the details of the webinar, where we'll be asking them a series of questions where they will share their feedback about the subject that has been brought to play. At the end of the sessions, we will give the panelists a chance to briefly leave us with the last word about the future of smart farming. And thereafter, we will turn the session to you, our audience, and ask any question. You may have a question, you may have a comment, you may have feedback that you will share with our panelists and the team at large. This will be a 20-minute session at the end of spoken to the audience. During the session, you may also post on the chat your questions. You can also post your feedback, and our team is responding wherever they can. All right, let's now get right into it. I'm so happy to see people joining us. As you keep joining us, please let us know where you're joining us from. We'll be happy to know. This session is being streamed live globally around the world. So we'll be really excited to know where you're joining us from so that we get to understand the interest of smart agriculture globally. So please let us know in the chat your name. If you want, you can also mention the organization you represent, the institution you represent, the sector you represent, and then let us know where you're joining us from. We'll be happy to engage with you. Taking you through this session is myself. My name is Joanne Mbesia. I'm the founder and CEO, that's Chief Executive Officer of Tech Mindset Africa. And I'm also an author of the book Technology Through a Woman's Eye, and a practical enthusiast in all matters artificial intelligence. Tech Mindset Africa is an artificial intelligence education institution which purposes to educate Africa in understanding the history of artificial intelligence and its impact in multi-industries, especially in Africa, through implementation and growth of artificial intelligence. And we do this by sensitizing, educating, and empowering Africa. We are also keen on being an inclusive organization. We endeavor to serve the underserved communities like women, youth, the orphans, the intersex community, and also physically disabled persons are included in the programs that we offer. That we make sure we empower every person in Africa and globally, socioeconomically, through artificial intelligence for the future. And today, I'm happy to introduce our panelists from different organizations who have vast experience in agri-technology and have experienced firsthand technology in agriculture, and of course, its immense value that it has brought in the sector. They're here to share with us their view on smart agriculture. They'll be talking about artificial intelligence in agriculture, smart technologies, smart farming, especially with women, with the youth, with institutions, and also are ready to answer any questions that you would have on smart farming. So before we introduce the panelists, I'd like to share a video by our first panelist, who I'm going to introduce shortly. That is Mr. Prabhakar Vanam. Prabhakar Vanam is the CEO of KCIC Consulting Limited. Before I introduce or before I tell you about him, I'd like us to learn something small about KCIC Consulting Limited. Team, kindly share the video.
For the last 1 year, hundreds of youth and women in the agribusiness sector have continued to benefit from the Agribiz program that was launched in March 2020.
Since we started working with KCIC, that was early this year, we have of course seen things from a different perspective. Since we joined Agribiz and we qualified to be one of the beneficiaries under the program, we have traded in a different way. Reason being, we are getting a lot of advice in terms of how to run our business. We have access to facilities, access to information, such as who are the people who are looking for the products that we are offering, what kind of partnership would be beneficial to our business. We are also being created for an enabling environment whereby we know what works, what doesn't. Work, what we need to be asking for from our county governments, what are the regulations that are working for us, that ones that are not working for us, and every other step that we can take towards creating decent employment through the right channels.
One day I was browsing on Twitter and I saw an advert about Kenya Climate Change Innovation Center where they were targeting youth and women in business. Me being part of them, I followed the link, I applied. Then they called me, then we had a conversation, we started the program where they teach you a lot of things from money management to pest management and how to keep your records. So we went on and then I made a good business plan and they were able to accept my business plan and they funded me.
The Agribiz program has to date incubated 879 clients from 8 county cohorts run from 8 county business incubation hubs. This support has been offered to individuals, community organizations, and self-help groups.
Tumeweza kila memba kujiwekea kuku. Kila memba, Courage iko na member 60. Kwa hivyo kila memba ako na kuku na tumeweza kujiinua kimaisha kwa sababu tunauza. Kila memba anauza kuku zake zile ako nazo, kuacha hizi kando za kikundi. Tunauza mayai, tunauza vifaranga, na kwa hivyo tumeweza kusomesha watoto wetu. Tumeweza kujiinua kidogo maisha yetu. Wengine hata wametoka mtaani, wale walikuwa naishi kwa mtaa, wameweza kutoka mtaani kupitia hiki kikundi na hii project. Tumeinuka sana, sababu hata ukulima tumeongeza ndani, kwa hivyo hata kwa afya zetu na kwa familia zetu na kwa community tumeweza improve a lot.
Through the support of the program, we continue to impact on livelihoods by creating employment opportunities. We have so far created 2,134 direct jobs and 6,702 indirect jobs out of the targeted 17,000 jobs.
I realized there's a gap. I noticed a gap where we have the Research Institute doing a lot of research, but the product never reaching the market, and really the farmers having their products in excess and nobody really is taking it to add value, just selling the fresh. Sometimes the fruits when they are in season, they are glad, so much go to waste. So I decided to come in and bridge that gap. And that's how I started my company, Kavax International.
As part of Agribiz financing, KCIC has offered more than 140 million shillings in form of result-based financing and proof of concept grants.
We are part of the teams that have been selected to have a proof of concept grant. So this has enabled or will enable us to buy the machines we need to increase our capacity in terms of production. Because so far we've been, let's say, like milling the herbs using a blender, which is small, it's a household machine. But through this support, we'll be able to buy something slightly bigger, which gives us more confidence to look for a wider market.
We continue to support clients with access to facilities, information, and opportunities to support their enterprises to scale up. We have also supported our clients with branding, visibility, marketing, and business advisory.
We are working with them on how to work with KEBS, with the KILD on the quality, with getting all the certification, that is the work of the KCIC, coming up with the website, they're doing that for us, capacity building, they're helping us with that.
We have leveraged more than $870,000 worth of indirect financing. We continue to work with county governments and allied partners to make Agribiz an impactful project.
We want to show that if you do proper policies, proper money, proper organization, you can alleviate poverty.
This is how to make agriculture cool, and truly grateful, to our funders who are supporting us to be able to see some of these ideas, seeing that they're getting to fruition. And that way we can make agriculture cool, and hopefully we can have more young people looking at agriculture as an alternative.
Absolutely amazing. Thank you, KCIC, for that wonderful introduction. And thank you for letting us know how you're empowering the farmers through financial management technologies in agriculture for smart farming. So that was Mr. Pragapa Vanam of KCIC Consulting Limited. So Mr. Vanam, in his career, which has spanned over 20 years, has designed and implemented programs within agriculture and IT space. At KCIC Consulting, supporting over 1,800, hear that, 1,800 enterprises across agriculture, involving the entire agriculture value chains, including climate smart agriculture technologies. We are happy to have you, Mr. Vanam. Now, to our second panelist, we have Ms. Edel Queen Waithera, who is the Sales and Marketing Executive at Mesh++, working to provide sustainable connectivity to unconnected and to support the growth of IT, which applies to smart farmers too. And Edequil has a small introduction about Mesh++. We'll have our team play the brief video about Mesh++. Please enjoy.
You're watching this on the internet. Half the world can't do that. That's why we exist. Mesh++ was founded with backing from the National Science Foundation to enable you to bring the internet anywhere. No power or Ethernet required. Our solar-powered nodes, built from a series of low-loss wireless networking patents, automatically connect, configure, and blanket hundreds of acres with Wi-Fi connectivity, without laying a single cable. Just unbox the nodes and turn them on. As long as at least one of them has Ethernet or cellular connectivity, the nodes communicate and figure out the rest.
In a couple minutes, you've created resilient last-mile infrastructure. Our networks have stayed online through hurricanes, drops from a building, and anything else you can throw at them.
Mesh++ networks are deployed all over the world. We enable anybody from any background to bring internet access to their community. Any community. Mesh++ lets you bring the internet anywhere.
Thank you very much. Mesh++, bringing internet and creating access to internet in the remotest of areas around the globe. We are glad to have you, Mesh++. If you're just joining us, we are live on Facebook. And also we are live here today talking about smart farming and the future of agriculture. Please do let us know where you're joining us from. We'd love to know that. Put it on the chat. Let us know who you are, where you're joining us from. And if you like, also let us know the company that you are representing. And now to our final panelist, Mr. Sam Otieno, who is the CEO of SAMMARCH Limited. Samuel Ouma is a businessman and also a founder and CEO of an organization called SAMMARCH Limited. So SAMMARCH Limited aims at providing automatic solutions to real-world problems. The company actually manufactures machines such as milk ATMs, oil ATMs, and chicken egg incubators using smart technologies. They also create research data loggers and smart control systems. And we would like to share a small video about SAMMARCH Limited. Thank you very much, Jane, for that. If you're joining us, welcome. Welcome to iGrow webinar series. We are glad to have you, where we speak about smart technologies impacting the agricultural sector. So if you've just joined us, a very good morning, a very good afternoon, a very good evening, depending on where you're joining us from, and we're glad to have you. Please introduce yourself. If you're able to, put it on the chat. Let us know where you're joining us from. And now we get to the meat of the session where we hear about the panelists. But before we do that, I'd like us to share a small meeting etiquette so that we are able to be all inclusive and we are able to see and hear our panelists effectively. So the first thing is I would ask you kindly to all switch off your videos. All right, this includes the panelists, but I will direct that after this. Kindly switch off your videos and also switch off your audio if you are not speaking. And thirdly, kindly, the only time you speak is the time you either asking a question or you're making a comment or have been addressed in the same manner so that we can be coordinated on how we share information. And fourthly, if you have any questions during the sessions when the panelists are speaking, you can put it on the chat. Alternatively, we have a question and answer session at the end of the discussions with the panelists where they'll be able to go back to the audience and get the questions or get feedback or any comments that are directed to them. So for now, I would love to welcome the panelists. Panelists, I'd kindly ask all of you to switch off your video, but when I introduce you, kindly switch on your video as per the introduction, and then after that, kindly keep it on throughout the session. So I would like to introduce our first panelist who had earlier introduced. And I'd like to ask Mr. Vanam. Mr. Vanam, kindly switch on your video and put on your audio. Thank you. I can see you there, Prabhakar Vanam. Mr. Prabhakar Vanam, I'd like to pose the first question to you. Please tell us a little bit about your background and also your knowledge in the space of smart farming. Welcome.
Thanks, Joan. Thank you so much for this. Good morning, everyone. Pleasure to be in this and happy to be with all the participants in this webinar. So as you saw from the video and as kindly introduced by Joan, my name is Prabhakar Vanam. I'm the CEO of KCIC Consulting. And KCIC has been in the space of supporting agri-businesses for the past 12 years. And throughout our career, we have supported around 1,800 enterprises, and our DNA is to ensure commercialization of these enterprises. We provide 5 broad services. We provide access to finance, where we provide grant up to $50,000. And there is another component called proof of concept and RBF financing, results-based financing. Then we provide, most importantly, we provide technical and business advisory services, because entrepreneurs have a fantastic, innovators have a fantastic idea. We try to convert that fantastic idea into sustainable product and sustainable enterprise. So that's something that we do, and we provide that. We do that by providing business advisory services and technical advisory services. Information is key, and that's why we are here. Technology is key. So we try to provide access to technologies, access to information, so that the enterprise has round information in terms of how they can be successful in this competitive world. We also do policy issues. We do advocacies around addressing some policy impediments, and lastly, we provide access to facilities. So those are the 5 things that we do. And we are very happy that, we've been in various counties, we've been hand-holding these enterprises, we've been providing mentorship support to the enterprises. We have understood the real issues of these enterprises, and the technology is something that we do operate in. We supported a lot of enterprises within the agri space who brought in fantastic technologies, which we'll be speaking about in subsequent questions, I believe. So that's where I'll stop, Joan, in the interest of time as well. But happy to be here. Thank you, Joan.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Vanam. As Mr. Vanab has indicated, technology is key, and they're happy to finance smart ideas, smart information, smart technologies that especially impact the agricultural sector. We are happy to have you here, Mr. Vanab. Now, to introduce our second panelist, Edel Queen Waithera, please switch on your video. Thank you. Please tell us, Edel Queen, about your background and your knowledge in this space.
Hello everyone, good afternoon for the ones who are in Kenya and the rest of the world. Hello. My name is Edel Queen, as I've been introduced. I am working with Mesh Plus. We are a company that is manufacturing solar-powered Wi-Fi routers because we have come to understand that there's a lot of good things out there, but the one thing that is missing is connectivity. And also, when it comes to smart farming, the information is there, but how are we getting that information? How are we connecting our farmers? How are farmers connecting to the outside world? So we have come up with an idea of having a sustainable Wi-Fi router that is going to promote and help every single person in majority the rural areas to be connected, and they can be up to date with all the information they need. And they're doing all these wonderful things when it comes to smart farming, because this is what we need in the world right now. We are lacking of food. Our environment is not healthy anymore. So we need to be able to have a streamlined way, a precise and accurate way of doing farming that is going to increase the quality and production. And with all this information that is out there, we need to be able to reach it to the farmers so that they can be able to provide us with what we need. Thank you.
Thank you, Edel, representing Mesh Plus Plus, where they install smart Wi-Fi solutions in rural areas so that they can connect farmers smartly. Absolutely amazing. To our third and final panelist, Mr. Samuel Otieno, please put on your video.
Yes, hello everyone.
Tell us about yourself and your background in the space of
Okay, yeah, so I'm Samuel. I represent Samchmat as a company. So Samchmat, we started in early 2018, and we started as an online store that facilitates access to hardware and software tools. Then along the way, we noticed a large gap and in the field of manufacturing. And as an agriculture graduate student, I saw a great opportunity in agricultural sector. And since 2019, we've been developing and manufacturing machines and providing solution to various fields in agriculture. And so far, we've moved from sales to manufacturing to also research, whereby we've collaborated with universities like JKUAT and researchers. And we've come up with a number of innovations, including egg incubation, including in fruit sorting, and all these technologies that all the technologies that we've applied in these fields are all what we are in here today to discuss. They all involve smart agriculture. And I believe as we continue discussing, we'll learn a lot and you'll come to understand our company well. And after all, we believe that all of us as time go in future, we will be leaders in research and development for a better world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Samuel. Samuel is a part education for a couple of years and has implemented artificial intelligence projects that have the transformation of agriculture. Some of them he has mentioned in, for example, the egg incubation and all the other machinery that he has created together with farming. Some don't go away. I'd like now to put our participants on the spotlight as we engage with them. So someone, please look in the line. Please tell us what by smart farming and so important to this audience. Why is smart farming important? An important aspect, important knowledge to the audience today. Samuel, are you there?
Sorry, sorry, John, that question was directed to who? Your voice was not very clear.
All right, sorry about that. This question was directed to Samuel Otieno. Can you hear me?
Hello, John.
Yes, can
yes.
You hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah, I can now hear you.
Please describe to us what you understand by smart farming in agriculture.
Okay, so for me, what I understand when we talk of smart farming, what comes into my mind is an application of IoT and use of sensors when it comes to agriculture, as opposed to the traditional agriculture, whereby the sensors and IoT were not used. So why sensors and IoT? So in smart agriculture, when we use sensors, we are able to perceive the activities that are happening in the farm. And when we involve IoT, it means we are able to do communication, and we are able to access data that are being obtained from the sensors at any place in the world. So in smart agriculture, IoT and sensors plays a great role, and it's very important in the modern world, especially when we take a look at the population growth. With population growth, there's issue with the land. And having issue with the land, if we are practicing smart agriculture, we are able to utilize the available land, the available land at a maximum level. And if we engage sensors and we engage IoT, it means that these sensors and the IoT, let's say IoT, which involves the AI, things are able to run in the farm, and they are able to be corrected in case of any challenge that may arise. For example, if we are doing a smart irrigation system, whereby we involve a drip system and sensors that can sense the level of soil moisture. Let's say the soil moisture perhaps is is at a given level, and by our smart system, which control the smart farm, we are able to decide whether to water the farm or not to water. So for me, smart farming is just a system whereby we try to maximize the limited land using sensors and IoT, and maximize profit as much as possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Someone, smart farming is the application of things. I think that was what in terms of IoT, and also the application of sensors, which are able to source data which comes to play on a special task that are idle, and make use of them, make them productive, and also create a sustainable business food system for the future. So thank you, Sam, for that. And I would like to move on to our next panelist, just as a follow-up on what Sam has told us. Why do you think, Edelquin, why do you think that smart farming is important for this audience today? Why should people care about the future of smart farming?
Yes, for me, smart farming is actually very simple. When you compare it with the traditional farming, we used to do it just randomly. Yeah, we used to plant your seeds and you sit back and you wait for the rain to come. But with smart farming, there is now precise measures, there is information, there is things that you can do that can help you have a productive farm, no matter the weather, no matter the conditions that are presented to you. So we get to take this information that has already been collected and apply it into our farms. And when we do this, we not only increase productivity, but we also better the livelihoods of the farmers, because we are showing them a smart way of doing farming, a way that is going to be helpful to them and also to the environment itself. Because when it comes to, let's say, the herbicides and pesticides, we only use what is required, not randomly like we used to do many years ago. Now we only put what is required in the farm. We avoid polluting the environment, which is already causing so much problems as we see. I take into consideration like climate smart farming. You create a small ecosystem that is balanced in your farm. In this way, you control every aspect of what it is that you're getting out of your farm. You balance out even the seasons. You can be able to farm things in different categories, and throughout the seasons, you can have something that you can harvest and be able to take to the market as a farmer because you did smart farming. Thank you.
Thank you, Edelquin, for that for feedback. Edelquin is telling us smart farming is important, especially when it comes to increasing the livelihood of farmers, updating them and making them more efficient and effective in their farming methods, therefore being able to sustain their families, being able to sustain their livelihoods in agriculture. And also one thing that I've noted, Edelquin has told us, is that smart farming helps farmers avoid pollution in the environment, which is key, especially to the growing and increasing changes in our climate. Thank you very much, Edelquin, for that. Bringing me to our third panelist, Mr. Van Nam. Please let us know, in your own words, what you understand by smart farming and why is it important?
Thank you, Joanne, so much for that question. And Samuel and Edelquin have really put these things into nice perspective. But let me give you a continental kind of perspectives here. Smart farming or climate smart agriculture is what I term is the future of agriculture. That is really the future of agriculture, and especially in the continent that we are living in. Agriculture, by far, is the single most important activity in Africa. Everybody knows that. And it also provides employment for about 2/3 of the continent's working population. And every country, most of the countries which are agriculture dependent, contributes to around 30 to 60% of the GDP and 30% of the value of exports. So that's the context that we are talking about. So how are we faring in terms of our problems, or what kind of key issues are we dealing with on our hands here? So with the urban growth, and not to forget the big problem that we are facing right now, the climate change issues, agriculture is not thriving well. Farmers, on the other side, they are still toiling very hard. They are relying on, unfortunately, incomplete, often inaccurate information to make crucial decisions about what to grow and how to grow. This has become so important in today's context to predict the weather, for example. So they should know which season what to grow, and this is possible using of technologies. Yet, arable land and land under permanent crops occupy only 6% of Africa's total land area. So how do we deal with these issues? So this calls basically for innovations in agriculture. These innovations will not only address the critical food security issues, but will also embed responses to the another critical issue of climate change. This smart farming tools that we are talking about in today's webinar there are multiple examples of how smart farming can come in. There are multiple examples of how technology can play a role. Example, use of soil. My co-panelist had mentioned about sensors, light, humidity, temperature management, use of specialized software solutions that target specific type or specific applications. Let me give you an example here. Maybe it will also give some more perspectives for the audiences here. We at KCIC do some Okay, the host decided to mute me. Am I off the time, John?
No, not at all. I think that was
okay. That's fine. So I was just giving you an example. So one of our clients at KCIC is IRRI-Hub. So what do? They use software to irrigate farms. They use robotics to sense diseases. They use drought resistance crops, and they introduce technologies like vertical gardens, etc. So this only tells us if one enterprise can do that, what's stopping the other enterprises? So the ideas behind smart farming are really, really unlimited. So let us look at briefly some broad advantages of what this smart farming can do. It can increase your productivity. It can enhance your resilience. This is one of the issues most of our farmers face. It reduces emissions. Again, one of my co-panelists said about pollution. So it reduces emissions. And it also, most importantly, does the prediction applications for you. It tells you, if you do this, what will happen? If the weather changes by 2 degrees, what will happen to your crops? If the rain comes in at a very untimely manner, what will happen to your crops? So these are the key things that get into the smart farming thing. But more importantly, it is how you embed that in your own farm. I think makes smart farming such a beautiful thing. Back to you, John.
Spoken with passion by Mr. Vanam. Thank you very much. Other than elevating the farmer's livelihood, Mr. Vanam tells us that agriculture is the most important activity globally. And I concur with that, especially when he talked about being an accelerator to life, understanding the activities in farming, enhancing life, and also checking on humidity and temperature, managing the farm, identifying crop diseases, identifying diseases in poultry. And also, he had mentioned the opportunities that you can find in smart farming, which are not limited to increasing productivity of farming and also enhancing livelihoods of farmers, prediction applications where you have the ability to predict how the weather is going to turn out before you plant or during your farming process. And other than that, also identifying diseases in crops. Absolutely amazing. There are endless and limitless opportunity in smart farming. So while you are still there, Mr. Vanam, I would like to pose this question to you, all right? Whilst the aging population are actively involved in majority of food production, they're, however, highly unlikely to engage agriculture in technology. I don't know if you're able to comment about that. The aging population, that's a fact today. they are the people who are mostly involved. And this is according to research, all right? They're the people who are actively involved in majority of food production. However, the thing is, they're slow in engaging agriculture and technology. Please comment about that.
Thank you, Joanne. I think that's a very important question that you have asked. Let me give you a simple example that we use at home. Our parents, when they started when they started living their lives, there was no telephones. Then telephones came in. Now there was a time where people used to call using the landlines. Now that has moved to mobiles. Now what are we doing? We are using WhatsApp. Our parents are using WhatsApp. So that's the technology transformation that has happened. And parents are kind of very into it in terms of how they're using it. So, but we should also recognize the fact that, technology is very dynamic and it is also ever evolving. We have seen from COVID, physical meetings have replaced the online meetings. We are doing this webinar online. In an ideal world, it would have been a physical meeting. So the elderly generation, either there are two issues with the elderly generations. They either do not want to change, or they don't have means to keep themselves updated with such development speeds. Everything, every day, as we speak today, by the time we started the webinar, by the time we ended the webinar, there could have been 10 more new technologies that would have hit the market. So how do elderly keep themselves abreast on this? The younger generations, the role becomes so critical here of the younger generation. They should come in, therefore bridge the gap between and embrace the technologies. That said, there are many forms of technology that are very easy to adopt, and they can be used in a friendly manner despite the demographic composition. It is about awareness. I think that is going to be the key thing here. Technology is very important, but awareness and information about these technologies becomes very critical, especially for the elderly population and for the aging population. Some of the technologies, for example, as many of you would be knowing, comes with their own operators. It's just linking that demand with the supply, linking your problem with that particular product, with that particular software, with that particular solution. Let me give you another example here. In Meru, one of our clients under Agribiz program, which is sponsored by EU and Danida, a company uses drones to survey farms, identifies diseases in crops, and suggests remedies to the same. Now, this firm provides services to any farmer, and they don't distinguish between young farmer or an old farmer or a middle-aged farmer kind of a thing. And they don't also distinguish between the size of the land that you have. They're not worried about whether you have half an acre, 10 acres, or 100 acres. All they are interested in is to provide the services to the firm. Now, this farmer, all that a farmer needs here is the information that the service exists. And once you link that information to that particular service, the firm will come in, put the technologies in the ground, ensure that it is operational, and provide you all kind of support. So the farmer that we are talking about will be within the climate smart agriculture space, although they will not be using it directly, but they would be within that. So that is the key thing here: awareness, information, and addressing a critical problem. It doesn't matter if it is a young person, young farmer, or an old farmer. It is about awareness. Back to you, John.
Thank you. Eloquently put that technology is transformational. So whether there is an aging population or not, it's either we are in it or not. But I like the fact that you stated that this particular revolution is especially for the youth, right? The youth who are getting into agriculture. If you're a youth and you're in this forum, we encourage, and you're not in agriculture, obviously, we're encouraging you to try and join the space, try and see what smart farming could do into the space of agriculture. But also a key factor that I realize you indicated and mentioned is that not necessarily aging people have to get in contact with technology in agriculture, but through support, through the support systems, then they're able to be in that particular space where they engage with technology indirectly. Absolutely profound. Thank you. So for those who have just joined us, we are talking about smart farming and agriculture. If you have any questions as the panelists introduce the concept to us, please put it on the chat and we'll be able to get back to you as we move forward. So to our second panelist, that is Edelquin. Edelquin Waithera, I'd like to pose a question to you. Research states that Generation Alpha is the future of sustainable food system. You know, Generation Alpha is the current generation that is all about technology. They were born in technology. To them, technology is not technology. It's a way of life. They don't know life without smartphones. They don't know life without internet. That is the Alpha technology. So my question is, research states that Generation Alpha is the future of sustainable food systems by the use of modern digital technologies like artificial intelligence, like Internet of Things, like cloud computing, etc. Yet, very few youth, very few of the Alpha generation around the world see a future in agriculture. What is your take on that, Edelquin?
Agriculture is not seen as an attractive career. Let's start from there, especially by the youth. When you went to school and you said you want to do a career in agriculture, I am sure majority of our parents would frown upon it because they have lived through it. They know that agriculture probably is not going to be a sustainable lifestyle for you. So as we, the youth, have grown up in the world of technology, we find ourselves drawn to things that are less towards agriculture. Even if it's involved, agriculture is expounding in the world of technology, but still we are not drawn to that end because agriculture has never been an attractive way of living. The youth in the rural areas, where most of the agriculture is done, are moving from the rural areas to the urban areas, trying to find a better living in a world that does not involve agriculture. So the first thing that we need to do is ask these youths, sit down with them and ask them what aspects of agriculture need to be made attractive to them so that they can be able to incorporate their lifestyles with this growing technology and agriculture as well. And this way we can be able to grow our youth and find ourselves in a future where we are, me as a youth myself, I'm excited actually to be a farmer, a smart farmer at that, because it's a way of life, it's an attractive way of making a good livelihood for me and my family. And I'll not be shamed or feel like when I am amongst other youth who are saying I'm a doctor, I'm an engineer, or I'm a pilot, I will not feel as if my career is any less than their career. So for me, agriculture needs to be made more attractive for our youth so that they can be able to partake in it.
Thank you very much, Edelquin. That was interesting, especially you know, the fact that you have agreed. Agriculture right now is not the only way of life for the youth. It is a fact outside there, but I also love your solution. Your solution indicates that we need to sit the youth down. So where do we find the youth? They're either in learning institutions, they're either in our homes, they're around us, they interact with us, they work with us, right? So if we're able to present this case and try and help our youth understand that not only is there agriculture, and it's not only for the aging population or the people who want to get their hands dirty, but it is a sustainable way of living. If we're able to demonstrate that, and that is why we're having this forum, to demonstrate that it is possible to have it as a way of living, then we are creating a generation of smart agriculturalists. We would love to see that space grow, Edelquin, and thank you for that feedback. Taking us to our third panelist, Mr. Samuel Otieno. Mr. Samuel, are you there?
Yes, I am there.
Thank you. So you have been a great inspiration, I know, artificial intelligence in agricultural projects through your company SmartMat, SoundMat. Yes, artificial intelligence is a slow and those who have applied it, the key solution for revolutionizing the sector. But the question is really, why why is it a slow intake, and generally, what is your opinion in regards to AI being the revolution of agriculture, yet people are not very keen, especially in Africa? What's your opinion?
Excuse me, Joan. I don't know if it's your mic that has got a problem. I didn't get you clearly.
All right, sorry, allow me to repeat the mic now.
Not yet.
All right, how about now?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Now, not.
Yes, I can't hear you. So I don't know if it is something to do with my video, because when I connect
I
to
think
video,
it's some issue at Joan's end. Even I was struggling to hear her.
Video no, so that we can hear me now. Can hear me. You are muted. You are muted. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. You can hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Absolutely. So what we are saying is artificial intelligence
Yes.
is kind of known in the global arena. All right. People know that it is important.
Yeah.
World right now. However, there's a very slow intake, especially in Africa.
Okay.
Right, in the technology. So what is your opinion on that? Why do we understand that AI is the revolution to agriculture, but yet we are very slow in taking it up, in understanding it and in learning it? Please let us know.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so considering the question, when we talk of AI, especially in Africa, then we have to consider the curriculum that is being provided, especially in our institutions. So you realize that AI comes only at an advanced level of learning. That's say in the university, and this comes when you yourself, you decide to take it as part of your research. So there's no platform that is open there that allows people to learn AI, especially when we take a look at the public universities. Based on my research, AI comes only when you decide to apply it in your research. Let's say in your master research or PhD research. Then also the other thing, you'll find that AI, we have these private institutions that facilitates learning AI, and also they help you through projects that involve AI. And with these institutions, you realize that they provide such classes, and the thing is that they charge very expensive. They charge very expensive. So, and as a result, you realize that it discourages people. So people have to learn the AI on their own. So my reason for the slow uptake is that the learning platform is not there, because when we have a learning platform, it's obvious that after learning, there's application. So the slow uptake is there because the learning platform is not so friendly to those who are willing. And the other thing also that I can say would help to facilitate to speed up the uptake is when we start introducing this AI in our syllabus as early as in high school. So that we get involved with it as early as possible, in order for us understand it, such that by the time you join, let's say higher institution, you are well equipped, and what you are doing is just advancing the level and getting ready to apply it. Yeah, that's what I can say.
All right, a very interesting perspective, right? That intelligence lacks in our institution. I don't know, maybe we can hear from the audience, not necessarily, you don't have to unmute your mic, just put it in the chat. Do we have the people who are stakeholders in our institutions here in the forum? Please let us know if this is true. Is it that we do not have artificial intelligence education in our institutions? And for those, if we have anyone from the private sector, especially in the education sector, is it true that artificial intelligence is expensive and thus becomes inaccessible to most people, especially agricultural students? That is what we are getting. These are the sentiments we are getting from our panelist, Mr. Samuel Otieno, that AI, as much as it is a solution, it is not available. The question is, how do we make it part of the curriculum? How do we make it a learning subject? How do we involve, especially the younger students, in higher learning to understand and start applying smart agriculture from a young age, so that by the time they transit to higher learning, they're able to start understanding its application and start making changes in it, not necessarily getting into institutions that already have it. They have to start understanding it from the word go, and then they pay expensively for it. According to some, that is not a solution. The solution, one, is to make sure that it is accessible and affordable. So thank you very much, Sam. Before we go ahead, I can see we have a raise from Mr. William. I believe Mr. Okomba is part of one of our institutions here in Africa. William, please go ahead and unmute yourself. Let us know what your opinion on this particular subject.
Thank you so much, John. And first of all, I think I'll echo what Samuel has just said. And because I'm presenting a private sector, because I teach in a Moringa school, I'm a data scientist mentor. So basically, like what I have realized is most of the government institutions, that's the universities, they're trying to teach guys the artificial intelligence, but it's just like basics. And they just provide theory part of it. So because we have seen guys or students coming from those institutions, they have idea about AI in theory, but when it comes to practical, they don't have anything to show. Now, about the payment, or in terms of the cost, like, you know, teaching AI, these is things that are just evolving every day. And it takes a lot of time to do research, to come up with the materials which are relevant to today's world. So basically, okay, I can say most of the private institutions are paying, or they're charging a lot. And I can give an example for Strathmore University. It's very expensive. And when we come like for my case, I can say it's not such expensive compared to other private, because what we are charging, I can say is a half of what other private institutions are charging. But the main idea is about like this thing is evolving every day. Like every month we have some things or new things coming up. So you have to keep on doing research. And that's why maybe it's a bit very expensive. And also, I think I'll also try to blame the government, because this thing is not even known, or we don't have any person will be applying maybe to go to do undergraduate in maybe data science. It's not there in Kenya. So I think it's something that maybe stakeholders have to look into it and introduce such degrees in our campuses. Yeah, back to you, John.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Okomba, who represents the Moringa School. And according to Mr. Okomba, it's true that the institutions are charging expensively, but the justification to that is that, number one, this is a new subject, obviously, and it requires research materials. It requires a lot of resources to make sure that students get to understand it. But also another thing I have noted, what Mr. Okomba has said, is that there's gap in, in practicality. So we have students who are learning AI or technologies in agriculture, but putting them into practice is yet to be seen. All right, this is something that mostly I think our institutions need to take note of. How do we make sure that as much as we are teaching the future technologies in agriculture, how do we bring about the practical aspect of it? How do we make sure that the students are able to put what they're learning into practice and see the technologies come to play, all right? And I believe I'm echoing the same sentiments that Mr. Okomba has indicated. And also we need to have the government get into the space and enable our institutions, and give the institutions rights and create policies that are able to have our students graduate, even take this further as undergraduates, like degree in data science, which we do not have currently. But I think here we are speaking as Kenya. I don't know about the other representatives of other parts of the world. Maybe we can have some information from the audience as we continue. I'd like to give this opportunity to Grace. Grace, if you're there, kindly let us know from the chat, what are the comments regarding the first session of the panelists in regards to smart agriculture? If you can see that, kindly read to us the comments that are there.
So what I can see is a question, not comments necessarily. So what I can see is a question coming from Benson from UON. He's asking, what are some of the challenges that are associated with smart farming?
Great, so thank you, Benson. Question as the panel go ahead, because I believe there is a discussion on that point. If it is not answered as we go on in the discussion, we'll bring it up again for you to get the answer. So thank you about that. I can see a feedback from Mr. Gordon Okello. Can we connect with the panelists maybe on their social media or their platforms? Yes, I believe the panelists can share their social media handles on the chat for the audiences to directly connect with them. I can see Mr. Vanam has done so. Thank you very much. And also we have a question or a comment from Gordon Okello. Absolutely true. From local institutions, but other big corporates like Huawei are trying to bridge the gap by offering the training for free. So that is very important information. All right, so if you have such kind of information, within the forum or in your institutions, please share the links to these free, information. It's very important for people to know about this. And also from Eric, fantastic presentation so far. Thank you very much, Eric. Allow me to go back to our panelists, and I'd like to throw the ball over to Edelquin. Edelquin, if you're there, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Absolutely. So talking about revolution in agriculture, from your experience as an entrepreneur in smart agriculture and your position of it at Mesh++, you have seen information within the agricultural sector using various technology, right? I'd like you to.
Okay, I'm losing you a little bit. The connection is a bit poor.
All right, sorry. I'm talking about your revolution and your experience in smart agriculture, right? As an entrepreneur in agriculture and smart farming, and also as your position in Mesh++. You have seen transformation within the agricultural sector, right?
Yeah.
I'd like
Yes.
you to indulge the audience about the future trends in smart farming that you believe will have a huge impact in agriculture, and what specific impacts, if you may, would those be?
Okay. We have so many things that are happening when it comes to technology in agriculture. The few that I can mention at this moment is like precise, smart farming in the sense of the smart greenhouse, precision farming, vertical agriculture. This is all climate smart farming. In all these aspects, farmers are being helped, or they are learning how to maximize on their resources. Whatever it is that they have, whatever little that they have, they are able to maximize it and able to make profit out of it. But we have a disconnection where we do not have enough information and connection. We are not able to connect. We are not able to connect our farmers with the information that is out there about how they are supposed to do this smart farming. So far, we have done a few projects have been running, even in Kenya, a few projects have been running, like the Smart Farming project, where they have been teaching farmers how to create a sustainable ecosystem. It is working very well, where you create a system where you can provide clean water, clean air, and materials. So you provide a system that is supporting itself on different basis. And this has been working very well. And for me, this is one of the smart ways, smart farming that is being applied that I have seen that is working. One that I would encourage anybody out there that has got a small, actually it's working in small plots of land. You have your quarter acre of land, find a trainer, find the agents that have already been provided with the information of how to do this kind of farming, this kind of smart farming. Take the knowledge, learn, apply it. Don't lose hope, because majority of the farmers get to some point and you feel like this thing is not working. No, it is going to work as long as you follow what is being taught. You have to understand it and you have to apply it exactly as it is. Also learn how to manage your finances, manage your books, learn about the market chain. This way you will be able to create a good circle of information, a good circle of productivity, and create a farmers group where farmers can come together and share information, get information from other areas, create connectivity. And within these communities, we will be able to grow and create a world that is both clean, a world that also we are providing economic sustainability, and a world that we are going to flourish.
Thank you, Edel. Very clear. Collaborate, learn, and understand, especially when it comes to finance in agriculture. Thank you very much for that feedback. Now to Mr. Vanam. Mr. Vanam, if you're there, can you hear me?
Yes, John, please go ahead.
Thank you. You have participated in sustainable solutions that have seen the transformation of agriculture sector. So in your position as the CEO of KCIC Consulting, right, would like to learn from you. What specific technologies, according to you, have revolutionized agriculture, and what are the future agri-tech innovations that you see coming to play in the near future?
Excellent. That's a very good question. Thanks, John, for that. And this is really interesting because with my interaction with farmers, women, and youth, I've seen many fascinating technologies that are coming up. As I said, when we support this agri-tech entrepreneurs, fintech entrepreneurs, the kind of technologies they present to us is really mind-boggling, and the kind of impact that these technologies create is amazing. There are many, like I have introduced in the first session, vertical gardens, for example, hydroponic farming, for example, which uses minimal water. I spoke about ED Hub, which is doing smart and computerized irrigation. I spoke about 2 young farmers in Meru who are doing this drone-based technologies. There is another one called Lantera Africa, which has recently won a innovation award at COP26, for example. They are doing propagated drought-resistant seedlings, and I can tell you these innovations are really, really endless. I can talk about them until evening, John, if you want to. But what stands out to me is that they are rolling out, and more innovations are coming out in the day and in day out. I wouldn't mention that one of that completely stands out from the West, but what I can say is that there is a huge opportunity in the agri-technology and innovation space that needs to be tapped in. Let me give you some examples. The entire space of monitoring crop and soil health. Artificial intelligence can help farmers monitor potential threats to agriculture productivity, occurrence of pests, diseases, and this can be done using your cameras, drones, satellite captured imagery example. So that's one area. Second area is about crop yield production and market price forecasting. I think this is very important because we have seen many farmers growing tomatoes, for example, but they don't get enough market, they just throw it on the road. I mean, that's a crime. So we need to use predictive analytics, AI and technologies can come in and help the farmers here in terms of market pricing and crop yield production. They can use the predictive analytics powered by artificial intelligence. Machine learning is effective in predicting the crop yield and the future prices of agriculture commodities. And it's interesting that, these products, for example, the artificial intelligence and the machine learning can put various kind of dynamics into that and say, if weather changes, if rainfall comes in, if flights are banned from other countries, what will happen to your price? So there could be some kind of forecasting that can be done based on which farmers can be really informed in terms of what to grow, and when to sell, when not to sell, what to store, what not to store. Crop yield production from parameters like climate data, satellite imagery, soil condition, pest attacks is of great importance to food security. Let me give you a third example or third component. Remote agriculture operations. Now we have seen that COVID, there are so many things that we are doing remotely. Artificial intelligence, I think, plays a fantastic role here again, where you can play, where you can help the farmers doing remote monitoring in carrying out the monitoring farm work, especially for the large scale farming. AI-supported smart tractors are coming in, robotics, we call it what? Agribots can be deployed to perform certain functions. Another area which has become a truly, I think, if I'm not wrong, it's a $6 billion market. It's about weather forecasting. Again, artificial intelligence may use the data from past weathers events to predict the future weathers. Weather determines the best time for planting, fertilizer, spraying, irrigation, and harvesting crops. Forecasting weather will allow the farmers to kind of make a better decision when to carry out the agricultural processes to maximize their crop yield. So predicting rainfall is another place. So these are the few things where again, there are numerous examples, there are numerous areas where they can get into the entire agriculture value chain, right from sowing to selling to the final consumer. I think can be tracked using all kind of AI supported technology. So I'll stop there, Joan. I hope that answered your question.
Absolutely, yes, you have. And I like the way you have broken down, especially the technologies that affect agriculture, and the way you're saying that entrepreneurs are coming up with these amazing, concepts. What we'd love to see more, Mr. Vanham, and as a key player in technology in agriculture, is to have these concepts, brought to the world, brought to the audience. How are you, for example, as the CEO of KCIC, making these platforms for the entrepreneurs in smart agriculture? How are you bringing them to the global audience, right? Do we have, for example, a channel that they present their, their technologies, their farming? And I believe also this is a challenge to this particular webinar. The next webinar series that we're going to have allow us to have the opportunity to showcase some of the, amazing technologies in agriculture that you have witnessed, and also some of the key players have seen. Would love to see them in the forum the next coming webinar. So because of time also, Mr. Vanham, for you, I would give you the last session so that you can wrap up with the audience. All right. Let us know, please, and also let the audience know. How would you, as Mr. Vanham, as the CEO of KCIC, consultancy, how would you motivate students, learning institutions, researchers, farmers, and basically every key stakeholder within the agri sector? How would you motivate them to focus on creating sustainable economic future by applying technology in agriculture? Basically, where should they start?
Excellent. I think that's a very important question. Like I said in the beginning, John, smart farming is the future. If you really want to increase the productivity, if you really want to address the critical issue of food security, if you really want to address the issues of climate change, I think smart farming is the place to be. And I don't know whether all the entrepreneurs who are in this room have heard the African Development Bank president saying, if you want to earn money, if you want to make good sense, agriculture is the sector that you need to invest. And when we say agriculture, smart farming becomes a natural choice. So take those ideas. It's about idea. It's about the problem that you're solving, because you cannot innovate an idea without actually addressing a specific problem. So it is that idea that you have to, at the back of your minds, and that idea is going to be a billion. It could be a million, it could be a billion, it could be a trillion, depending on what kind of penetration that you can get. Ideas are equivalent to the money that you can plan to invest, or you can plan to reap from that. Start now. That would be the advice I would give. Start now. Money from investment. I mean, let me also tell you, for a company like us who are working in the financial space as well, where we are looking at green financing, where we are looking at innovative financing mechanism, I can stick my neck out and say that there is plenty of money out there for potential product, right? It's only that, the product has to reach the right investor. So the investors are waiting for the right product to reach their doorstep. So it's a dichotomy of problems that we have, where there is money, they are looking for innovative product. Where there is product, the product is looking for money. So I think that's one of the critical things that we need to address, the demand and supply here. So you need to start now. Money from investors is out there waiting for you. Look for those investors online and through networking, because access to finance is one of the biggest problems, biggest impediments that is facing, especially the youth, the women entrepreneurs who have a brilliant idea. Don't be shy to reach out to them. Reach out to KCIC, for example, if you have an idea. We always have this cohorts, yearly 2 cohorts, innovating entrepreneurs to pitch their ideas to us. Go through our website, go through our social media platforms, where we always put out advertisements in terms of requesting for a call for proposals. Research about these innovations to ensure that you can make sure you pilot them out. Once you have piloted them out, once you have the initial results, that is where the investor would be very much interested in. Start from where you are and start with that idea that you think is small. Even if it is small, that's an idea that will take you a long way. It is likely to be the next big thing. The potential lies with you while you're here to support the growth of ideation to commercialization. Technology, finally, let me say this, John, technology is the modernity that we have today. While we have coupled with the agriculture, it becomes the next big thing too. So please don't shy away, reach out to people, network, learn more about these AI technologies that are out there, and understand the problems that your technology could solve, especially to that particular farmer, but more importantly, what kind of impact it can create on this continent. Thank you, John.
Wow, what a powerful Mr. Vanam. I agree with you. If you want to start with a great idea. And even before Mr. Vanam goes, he has shared his social media handle. He talks about the future being agriculture and, you know, agriculture and technology, smart farming in specific. All right. And there are immense opportunities, especially if you visit the KCIC Consulting website. There are opportunities there. There are terms of references. Just find the information, fill it in. If you have a brilliant idea to solve agriculture using smart technology, they're ready to invest in you. You just need to have the right idea at the right time, people. It's not that there are not opportunities. Maybe what we don't know is where to look for them. And we are glad to have Mr. Vanam to open up this for us. And that is why we open up such platforms to be able to bring together key stakeholders, investors, finances, great ideas to create a revolution in agriculture, in the future of agriculture. In 5 or 10 years, will not be farming manually. We'll be using technology to farm. And also a keynote that Mr. Vanam has noted is that in the era of COVID-19, we are using monitoring AI solutions like bots, a solution like, you know, smart tractors, right, to manage our farms. And this is what is happening. So it's either we get on the bandwagon now or agriculture will never make sense to you. So before we let Mr. Vanam go, and then also we are going to continue with our panelists, whom we are also going to finalize with, I'd like to now give an opportunity to the audience for any question we have for Mr. Vanam before he leaves us. Just about 5 minutes, and then we'll let him go. Any question from the audience? Grace, if there are any questions on the audience regarding Mr. Vanam, please let us know. But you can also raise your hand so that we can see the question you have for him.
So what I can see is a feedback from Teresa. And she's saying, I'm loving the conversation. It's very insightful to help the young people get into this space. We need to create more awareness and change the narrative around it, especially agriculture. Yeah, so that's it.
Great. Thank you so much, Joan, and thank you so much, Grace, for that. Unfortunately, I have to leave, but I am available on various mediums. You can reach out to me on my social media Twitter handle as well. But more importantly, research about what kind of products that we can offer as a company, and then we'll be happy to provide any support. So, Joan, thank you for having me here on this panel, and really loved every moment of this. Thank you so much, Joan.
Thank you, Mr. Vanam. We wish you well, and we'll get in touch. Let us see how we can take forward the revolution of agriculture. All right. So let us wind up with the rest of the panel. So that is Edoquin Waithera and Samuel Otieno. Sam, just to wind us up, I don't know if you're there. Are you there, Sam? And can you hear me?
Yes, I am there.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
So Sam, as a champion in smart farming for sustainable food systems, and also to conclude on this discussion, how would you convince the youth, all right, the youth out there to re-engage in modern farming? Probably we have the youth who are either in it, but not actively in the technology side. And there are those who are in the technology side, but not actively in implementing it in agriculture. What would be your last conviction, especially to the youth, in regards to smart farming?
Okay. Thank you, John, for the question. Yeah, so the number one thing that I can help with in terms of making many youths as possible to engage with smart agriculture is to make them know the benefits that are involved with the smart agriculture. And these benefits are in terms of profit and in terms of flexibility. When we consider profit, with the smart agriculture, you are able to maximize profit with the limited resources that are available there. And these limited resources include money, include also the people who are involved, and it also includes the land as well. So by making people, these youths understand that it's not always that a person must have a large land or a big piece of land in order to engage in agriculture. And also it's not always that a given number of laborers must be there in order for agriculture to happen. And also, it's not always that you personally be there in order for you to do the agriculture. If you have a smart system, the agriculture can happen by itself. You just do the monitoring with your smart system. And also, we have this benefit that comes with flexibility. In some countries, we've heard of doing agriculture in the office. You are in your office and you are doing agriculture, just like you mentioned, and also Vanam mentioned that if you have a smart tractor which uses maybe the GPS system, you are able to do harvesting as well as planting while away from the farm, and making these people, making young people understand these benefits. Then they'll get interested in the system. And just like Vanam said, if there's a platform out there that can help lend these people, let's say a friendly loan system that can help them acquire these resources, then they'll be very much willing to do farming. And also, I can consider this also. I did a research in cattle vitamin A prediction using the cattle eye image. So we made a system whereby with this system we are able to capture cattle eye image, and with this cattle eye image we take the picture and analyze the condition of the eye. By analyzing the condition of the eye, we are able to determine the vitamin A level in the cattle eye. And initially, the way people used to let's say the conventional way of doing that is normally using blood sample. So you take the blood sample, take it to the lab, and start doing what? Start doing analysis, which is time consuming. And also it's invasive to the cattle. And also there are some people who don't like hurting animals. So if you're having a smart system that provides a benefit of just capturing and capturing the eye image and be able to analyze the level of vitamin A without you engaging practically there. I think as a youth, that kind of job is looks decent. So that's one of the benefits. So what I believe is just letting them know of the benefits that are involved with smart agriculture, and also if it is about cleanliness or appearance, smart agriculture is about all that, which young generation considers to be more important. So in conclusion, I can just say that re-educating them and showing them the benefits that are involved with the smart agriculture, I believe that we can have a given percentage of young people following agriculture and having a new perspective on agriculture. Thank you.
Mr. Samuel Otieno, who has engaged in artificial intelligence. And what Samuel had is that you do not like dust. Like you don't want to make your hands dirty. So smart technology is a dust to manage the farm without manually in agricultural activities. All right, so thank you very much, Sam. And key takeaways. You can see we have people engage with you. Let's kindly mute the microphone for Mr. Samuel. Well, thank you very much. So the key takeaways from Mr. Samuel are very simple. To help youth understand agriculture, first we have to take it to them through education, learning systems, and also to let our youth here and also globally, because I know we are live on Facebook, is that agriculture is flexible. There's no one way to tackle agricultural challenges. It's flexible in a way you can handle it to, manage crops. You can handle it to manage, poultry. You can manage weather. You can manage soil. You can get to test and understand the moisture. As a matter of fact, Samuel has given us an example of an innovation that he created of checking the vitamin A deficiency or the lack thereof using smart technology. And I believe in this particular case, they use a technology called computer vision, where they're able to detect the levels of vitamin A from, was it from cattle? Yes, from cattle, to be able to understand the level of vitamin A so that you're able to treat that, or rather to provide to the cattle sufficient vitamin A. And I think this is where we need to move towards to. If you want to get in touch with Samuel and get to understand more of these technologies or be part of his research team, he does a lot of research in artificial intelligence and agriculture. He's the best person to get in touch with, to get to learn and understand the future of artificial intelligence, especially in agriculture. Samuel, please leave the audience with your contacts so that they can get back to you. And now to our final panelist and our final conversation is Miss Edel Queen Waithera. Edel, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you. So we save best for last. As a woman in very agricultural space, all right? Who believes that agriculture and technology education is the future of smart farming? I would like you to engage the audience right now as you conclude, all right, on these two fronts. Institutions adopting modern farming, so that if we have institutions in this particular forum, they're able to understand from you, all right? So institutions in adopting modern farming programs through practical learning. And secondly, your advice to women in the space of smart farming as a sustainable venture. Do women need to get their hands dirty in the literal sense, or there are ways that a woman can play a major part in the revolution of agriculture? Please take it away.
All right, thank you very much. When it comes to institutions, we have to have an understanding that, like most of the conversation that I've got, agriculture is growing. So institutions also have to grow with this. They have to adopt the new technologies that are being offered out there. They need to learn or bring in people who are learned in these aspects and create learning centers and actually do these things practically, because we find it easier for us to learn something that when you see and you do it practically, it's easier for us to understand. And when it comes to farming, you find it's a majority of the time it's a physical aspect. It's something that you do physically with your hands, yeah. But also technology is coming in and it's bringing new ways of doing these things without necessarily doing them with your hands. So we need to make sure the farmer or the farmers or the young people who are out there, they need to understand how is it that these new technologies are coming in and changing the way we used to do the olden ways. We used to have how we used to do agriculture in the old ways and how we are able to apply these new technologies to our farms today. As for women are the most resourceful people out there. And yet the majority of the unemployed youth in most countries, especially in Africa, 60% of them are women. And why is this? And yet we have agriculture. But we have these attitudes towards agriculture that it's not a prospective career aspect. But this has to change so that the world can change. The population in the world is growing. By 2050 will be 9 to 10 billion people. All these people need to be fed. How are we going to do this? Land is not as much as it used to be. So we have very little resources and we have very little land and we have very few people who are willing to go into this aspect of agriculture. But how are we going to change this aspect and change our women and bring them into agriculture? Explaining to them, letting them learn, understand, and learn new techniques, AI, IoTs, robotics, micro irrigation. All these are ways that we can do smart farming, ways that we are going to use less energy, and yet we are going to get more and more productive, more production and more profit. We young women are going to be able to be economically sustainable if they take up the aspect of smart agriculture. And it's being offered out there. We have people who are going to villages in our local areas, teaching people how to be able to do smart farming. Let us be curious. Let us go to these meetings. Let us participate in these groups as young ladies and learn how we can be able to to sustain ourselves. The urban area is not it's not providing as much opportunities as people would like to think, because many youth have been university are dumping more learned people into the work economy, and yet there is no jobs for these people. What are we gonna do? We cannot all sit here in the urban center. We have beautiful farms and beautiful things that we can be able to achieve from the farming aspect, but we need to stop thinking that agriculture is something that cannot give us a sustainable livelihood. This is something that has been there for many, many years from our past generations, something that we have seen from our parents, our grandparents. They struggled a lot, but now we are coming in with new ways of making agriculture a beautiful thing, a beautiful aspect, and a way to make a livelihood, a way to live a life that is fulfilling. Yes, thank you.
Absolutely, Edelquin. Thank you very much for that high note ending of the session. Edelquin is telling us that institutions need to start introducing the aspect of practicability. An idea that was earlier spoken of by Mr. Samuel Otieno, and also Adelquin touched on that, is that how do we as institutions make sure that not only are we teaching technology in agriculture, but how are we making the activity, the learnings, introductions, and, the aspects of agriculture and technology, how are we making them practical? All right, this is a very critical question that we need to assess, especially in our curriculums in the agricultural institutions. But also she says about the immense opportunities for women, for ladies, to learn artificial intelligence, to learn smart farming, to learn Internet of Things in agriculture. Land is becoming scarce, and land will not discriminate, whether you're a man or a woman. And you'll be looking for land, you won't find it. It's not discriminatory. So it is time that as women, and as much as men do this as well, is that let us realize opportunities on how we can lift off agriculture from land. Take it to our homes, take it to institutions. Let us continue creating food systems out and away from land, and women have great opportunities in this space. So what I would say right now, just to conclude, according to me, I don't know about you, audience who are outside there, there are three key takeaways that have stood out for me from the panelists in this particular discussion. And one of them is that there are immense opportunities for great ideas in technology and agriculture. Please understand, the future of agriculture is technology. The future of our food, the food that we eat today, is going to be mechanized and automated and catalyzed by future technologies. The question is what space, or rather where are we going to stand in this revolution? The fact that you're in this particular forum means you have a passion or you have a keen interest in applying technology in agriculture. As Mr. Vanam said, don't start later. Start now. Start learning, start understanding. Look for institutions that teach artificial intelligence for agriculture. That is one of the key areas that stood out for me, that the immense opportunities, the only thing you need to do is to present the right idea. But how do you present the right idea? You first have to learn, understand, and implement, and come up with a concept. Once you have the concept, approach the funding institutions like KCIC. They have immense opportunities. And second key takeaway is that institutions need to introduce not only technology in agriculture. Don't teach agriculture in isolation. Introduce technologies, especially the future of the future technologies like artificial intelligence, that is smart farming, like drone management. How do you use a drone on farms, on lands, to monitor crops or to monitor animals, like it was really clearly demonstrated by Mr. Samuel Otieno. And also, thirdly and lastly, as a woman in this particular world, find ways to understand and start learning how to implement technologies. Get into institutions, they are there. They have been even clearly indicated by Mr. Okomba. Moringa School is there, all right? And even iGrow will soon be starting artificial intelligence for agriculture. Please keep your eyes open and your ears listening, all right? There are immense opportunities in learning artificial intelligence, or rather smart farming in agriculture. You just need to find the right opportunities and have the right passion, because it has a chance and the opportunity to create sustainable living. And to wrap up the session, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for joining us today. I know we have immense questions. I'd like to avail the next 5 to 10 minutes to ask any questions that we have. Grace, if you're on the forum, please read to us any questions that we have. And for the panelists, thank you very much for taking your time and also sharing your expertise in this particular field called smart farming. I'm sure most of the people in this audience have taken away something that they are going to apply or something they have learned new today. And we are glad also for availing opportunities and resources. Please share your social media profiles on the chat. Let the people engage with you so that they can get to know more about what it is that you do and how you can help them. As we had said earlier, we are creating forums where we can bring together agricultural stakeholders, we can bring together investors, we can bring together experts together with students to learn about the future of agriculture. So Grace, if you are there, please read to us if you have any questions to our panelists before the logo. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Joanne. So the first question is addressed to Samuel Otieno. So the question is, hello Samuel, which machine learning algorithm did you use for the vitamin A model? So I don't know if I'll allow Mr. Samuel to answer that first. Joanne?
Yes, please, he can go ahead and answer. No problem.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, you can hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so basically the algorithm that we used, what we did in our system, we didn't use any machine learning. We just used okay, just a little. Hello. Yeah. So yeah. So what we used, if you can allow me, share just a little. So if you can see my PC, can you see my screen? Yes. So on my screen, that's the algorithm that we used. So nothing like machine learning. So what we do, we acquire image, then we do the feature extraction. Then from feature extraction, we were able to
You're not able to see your screen.
Okay. Can you see it now?
I don't know about the rest, but I can't see it on the side.
I think you can pin, if you pin, you'll be able to see.
Okay, okay.
Let them pin from their end and then they'll see.
Okay, can I share my screen, please?
Yes, please.
I have
Okay. Okay, so just a little. I would request someone to answer another question as I prepare, because the presentation is on another computer.
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah, thank you.
So just some, okay. For those who are asking for LinkedIn, how for emails, they have been shared in the chats. I believe you can all see that. So next is from Samuel Otieno. We acquired the Tapetum Eye image using an automatic image acquisition system installed at the water drinking point. Then the metrics involved analyzing the change in RGB values of the Tapetum image, whereby we came up with a predictive model The overfitting was overcome by acquiring large number of data with many test samples. The one I think she was answering Veronica, question asked by Veronica.
Sorry, Grace, your sound is low. I don't know if we are not able to hear you.
Oh, okay. So sorry. Okay. Can you now hear me? Am I audible enough? Joanne, am I audible enough?
Yes, you are. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So sorry for that. So I was reading Samuel Otieno's feedback, and that's, I believe he was answering Veronica. So here's the feedback. Someone is unmuted. Someone is unmuted. So I'll continue. So here's the feedback. We acquired the Tapetum Eye image using an automatic image acquisition system installed at the water drinking point. Then the metrics involved analyzing the change in RGB values of the Tapetum image, whereby we came up with a predictive model. The overfitting was overcome by acquiring large number of data and with many test samples. We acquired the Tapetum Eye image using an automatic image acquisition system installer. Okay, I think this is the something he was typing up here. Next, it's just, yeah, someone says thanks to Samuel for the response. And someone also appreciates Joanne. That is Veronica. She says, thank you, Joanne, for this session. It was very insightful. So, Joanne.
All right, thank you. I think we also lost.
Maybe if John isn't ready, I don't know if Samuel is ready. Samuel, I don't know if you're ready to share your screen now.
Sorry,
yeah.
Okay.
John, you will say something?
Yes, no, we're saying your network was low. We hardly heard you at the end, but that's okay. We've read the comments, we have seen. We thank you very much. I don't know if we are ready, Samuel, to share the screen.
Okay.
Are we ready?
Okay, connecting just a little.
All right.
Okay.
All right, interesting things on this on the chat. Tabitha is saying, I have learned a lot. Thank you. So thank you very much, Tabitha, for being with us. We appreciate you as well. Veronica, thank you for the session. It was insightful, absolutely. And we would not have made it possible without you, Veronica. We appreciate you joining. As someone is trying to share his video, I'd also say, I'd read a comment from Eric. Thanks a lot. You are here. I don't know possibly what that would mean. You are here. I don't, Eric, are you there? Are we there with you or you are here with us? Maybe you could clarify that for us as we continue. Mr. Okomba appreciates, I think, the contacts that have been shared by Samuel Otieno. So for everyone who has joined us, we appreciate, and we are on to the last part where we are learning from the master himself, Mr. Samuel Otieno, who has applied immense technologies in artificial intelligence. If you have a few minutes, please let's watch some a clear technology that he's about to show us, which is about prediction of the vitamin A level in Cato. Samuel, are you ready? I can see you sharing your screen.
Yes, can you see my screen?
Yes, very clearly, thank you.
Yeah, so this is what we did in the research I did in Kyoto University. So Kyoto University is a university in Japan. So it was about prediction of serum vitamin A level from tapetum color in Japanese black cattle using automatic image acquisition system. So the importance of prediction of vitamin A in Japan. So prediction of vitamin A is very important because vitamin A affects beef marbling. Beef marbling affects the quality standards of beef. And it is through marbling that Japanese beef can fetch either higher market or lower market. So vitamin A is very important. So like you can see from the curve below, when they start rearing cattle at age 10, they start reducing the vitamin A. So there's a research that the lower the vitamin A, the higher the beef marble. So monitoring vitamin A is something very, very important for their cattle. And you all know of Japanese beef. It's the most expensive all over the world. Why expensive? Because they take it serious on how they rear the beef and how they monitor the level of vitamin A so as to ensure that the quality of beef is as high as possible. So like you can see, we have BMS1 on the diagram, BMS4 and BMS12. BMS12 is considered to be of very high quality compared to BMS1. So beef marble 1 is of low quality. Beef marble 12 is of higher quality. So this marbling are those white streaks that you can see on the beef. So for them, monitoring vitamin A is something very, very important. And you all know you cannot reduce vitamin A without monitoring it. Because you might end up going to extreme level. So the extreme level, the red part on the graph, means that, below 40 IUDL means that the cattle might be at risk of dying. So because of vitamin A deficiency and also with the insufficient vitamin A, it means that diseases might affect the cattle, and also death. Death might come up. So in the next slide, you can see how they do it. Traditionally, how they do it. There's the blood sample. And this is invasive, time-consuming, high cost. Therefore, need for a new method. As a result, there is a relationship that shows there's a relationship between vitamin A and I. So these are researches that were done prior. So they were estimating vitamin A based on the image from the eye surface. So they reflect light from the on the eye surface. Then they take that image, analyze it, see how the color varies, and from there they're able to determine the vitamin A level. So my method, the method that I proposed was to use the inside part of the image, because even the surface color is just a reflection of what is coming from the inside. So my research involved making a camera, a fundus camera, that can take the inside of the cattle eye. That's the tapetum. So the tapetum is that shiny part. You can see in dogs, you can see in cats. At night, the eye glows. Why? Because they have the tapetum. So the tapetum inside the eye has got the glowing characteristic. So my research involves making a camera that can take image of the inside of the eye, then from that inside of the eye, analyze it, so as to improve on what was done by these other researchers. Yes, so the tapetum, you can see it. So that's what I was to make, a camera that can acquire the inside image of the tapetum. Yes, so you can see the tapetum. When vitamin A is very high, it is well formed, it is blue-green. Then at low vitamin A, it becomes bleached. Yes, so by understanding that literature, yeah, so these were my objectives, and that's how my device looked like. And I designed it a model. Then I used Japanese black cattle, and that's the setup of my system. That's how my system looked like. So you can see the camera box. Then we have the water cup, so where the cattle goes to drink. Then the camera box had a sensor, a proximity sensor. So this proximity sensor detects that the cattle is near the camera. Then also we had a flow meter. This flow meter will detect whether the cattle has started drinking. So when we've realized that the cattle has started drinking, that's when the image acquisition started. Yeah, so you can see the process, how the image was being acquired.
Allow me to interject, Mr. Samuel, because of the interest of time. Sorry, because
Okay, thank you.
Okay. That was very insightful for anyone who wants to know more about this particular technology. You can reach out to Samuel Otieno on LinkedIn. I can see he shared his details on the chat. So in the interest of time, would love to release our great audience and thank you honestly from the bottom of our heart. And I'd also like to mention that this was not done alone, but with partnership with Aggregate Global. Aggregate Global is an online global PR firm that focuses on agriculture, especially they talk about innovations in agriculture, and we are glad to be part of them. They have also made this possible. They have spoken about it in their forums. They have been part of the planning. We appreciate you, Aggregate Global. Do we have the founder and CEO, Mr. Sora? Are you there? Are you there just to say hi to the audience before they leave? Sora, are you there? All right, Mr. Sora has just left, but they have been a key player in this particular webinar. So we would like to invite you for more webinars as they keep on coming. We'll have investors on board, we'll have experts on board, and as a matter of fact, we will make it purposeful that the next webinar will have 1 or 2 presentations of working smart farming technologies outside there, so that you can get to interact with these people, possibly invite them to your institutions, to your organizations to talk about that. This is the only way that we can collaborate and make sure that Africa and also the whole world would adapt smart technology in the future of farming. So thank you very much. Thank you, our panelists who have remained. That is Edelquin Waithera. Thank you very much. We're glad to have you. Samuel Otieno, thank you for that insightful presentation on what you're doing and what you continue doing in technology in agriculture. So we'd like to formally close this session with a very big thank you and the last comments from our audience who are saying from, I can see Veronica, thanks Samuel. I can see also from Eric who has responded and said, I'm here with you. Thank you. I knew that's what you meant, Eric. I'm here with you and thank you for the opportunity. No, we are glad that you are here. Thank you very much, Eric. Mr. Okomba, thank you so much for the session. We appreciate you, Mr. Okomba, and also for participating. Edelquin is telling us it was a pleasure participating in this webinar. Thank you very much. Felix Jangu just joined saying thank you, Joanne and team. I joined late, but I have learned something to dig deep and inquire more. Thank you, Felix. If you want to get in touch with our panelists, the information is right here on the chat. Please get in touch with them. This is the reason we do what we are doing. Samuel Otieno is also saying thanks a lot, Joanne, and all the participants for making this happen. Thank you, Samuel, for making this happen as well. Teresa Helen tells us, thank you so much. Alvin Mutengeka, thanks so much, Joanne, and the rest of the team. We thank you, Alvin, for joining. I saw you were struggling a bit in joining earlier on, but we're glad you finally joined us and we're happy to have you. I hope in the short time you're able to learn something. Veronica Isiaho, how do we get in touch to know when you'll have the next webinar, Joanne? Veronica, definitely, please follow us on LinkedIn, that is at Tech Mindset Africa. Jane, if you're there, or Grace, please put on our link on the chat, all right? You can join us on that, or on Twitter at Tech Mindset Afri, or on Facebook at Tech Mindset Africa, or you can also follow at Aggregate Global. That is on both LinkedIn and also Twitter and Facebook. You will see the next dates of the webinar, but most probably we'll be doing once every 2 months. So William Okomba, thank you. I will guide her absolutely. I love collaboration in this forum. We are here to support each other so that we can grow each other immensely. So have a lovely afternoon, have a lovely morning, have a lovely evening to each and every one of you. Thank you for joining, and please join us in the next series of iGrow webinar. If you have a presentation, if you want to participate as a panelist, get in touch with us. We'll be happy to engage more. Appreciated. Have a lovely day ahead. Thank you. Yes, I can see Sora has also shared Aggregate Global on Twitter. Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a lovely day.